Okay, so today I'm going to do another episode of my Absolutist philosophy series, and I'm doing, instead of a 0.5 episode when I have to cover more things on the same topic or something similar, right, that isn't a full-fledged topic, I'll do like episode 8.5 or 6.5 or whatever, right? But now we're doing episode 9.1, because this topic, as I was actually really thinking about it, obviously I've discussed all these things in the past at length, but it kind of blew my mind how much there really is to say about it. So we're doing episode 9.1, and we'll see if we can get through the topic by episode 9.9 before we get to 10. That's how insane it is. So I normally, I don't do anything scripted, obviously. I'm doing this off the top of my head from things I've discussed over the years. But the thing, wait, why do I suddenly have like 13 viewers? What happened? But whatever. What I was saying is, this will take forever to do because there's just so many things. So I actually do have some notes as far as like different topics, at least related to it, that I want to touch on. And so it actually kind of blew my mind though as I was doing this, because I'm just doing these, casually going over things I've discussed in the past. And then I get to this one and I'm like, holy shit, I spent an hour talking about it and I'm not even through like 1/10 of what I have on my mind. Hey, how's it going? Oh, it's cool. I can see my chat on there too. I have like my other phone, but it actually shows up on the stream itself. So yeah, well, let me recap on some of the ones I discussed at the end of last session, and then I will do what I was actually trying to do here. So I went through the anti-virtues, which is kind of an interesting concept, that like things that are portrayed as positive, that if you hold them accountable fully, then you realize they're actually negative or pointless, or it's just a subversive way to control you. Like, for example, like being patient is good, right? But okay, then just wait forever. But then that's not good, right? It's good to a degree, but it's kind of one of those things that's exploited for gratification. Like, well, it's just a way to get you to wait. If you could do the same thing without waiting, it'd be a net positive. Greetings from Indonesia. Cool. I don't know if like somebody hosted me there or what happened. Like, that was weird. I suddenly had like 13 viewers. But like getting rated on Twitch, I guess. I haven't streamed too much on YouTube, so I don't really know how a lot of things work. But what I've been doing the last couple of days is I've been trying to post like a clip of some random thing that I've discussed, right? And they've actually done pretty well, like the George Carlin one, or like that's just the thumbnail. It's like, oh, humorous cognitive dissonance. It's all things that are like, they feel kind of stupid to me, but I guess people like them because it's just like when you discuss something so many times, it becomes kind of tired to you. But no, this is meant to be... Okay, so anti-virtues like patience, you could just wait forever, right? Or you could do anything forever, so it's just a way to control you, or if you get gratification from it, you'd rather do the same thing without waiting, right? So this would be part of the absolutist philosophy of... Oh, see, now it's 14 again. I must be like on the front... Either it's just glitching, or I must be like on the front page of YouTube or something weird. They're like starting to recommend it to people. That's so weird. I've never had this much. But, okay, the anti-virtues, what were some of the other ones? Like, some, like, form of restraint, or it's basically like, oh, the 7 deadly sins, but the opposite. Like, they're virtues, but they're virtues by which you're tricked into being reduced to a lesser state. Like, this is why I need the notes to go through, because this topic is actually mind-boggling. I love it. Okay, let me just skip that then, fine. But we discussed it last time anyway. So, the stigma effect would be the constant awareness and doubt of human nature, of human senses, of human history, like aware of history to the point that you get, like, how can we trust people, whether it be yourself, your own judgment, like, oh, what, even the Roman Empire, we fell to bread and circuses, so how can we take it seriously? You're falling for the same thing too. And everybody, like, how can you be too at peace or too comfortable, right, with your state? That 500 years from now, or because history is like exponentially moving faster now with technology, 100 years from now people will say, wow, we were so stupid at this time that we allowed this to happen, or we were doing this tendency. So like, you should never be too complacent with that, because you feel like, oh, every era in history we can look back and ridicule them. Oh, how could they have fallen for that? How could they have little fucked up break moment there. I wasn't even hardly braking, but you can look back in human history at all of human error and all of everything like that. And why that works is because again, you would discredit people, or I feel like it's just glitching out though with what it's telling me there. Whatever, but yeah, like, you would doubt human history. Like, okay, people have fallen for every possible lie, every possible fallacy throughout human history. People have supported collectively, so even a large number of people aren't credible. They've supported, World War II Germany, or like China right now, and like, whatever. You've allowed those things to come to power. You allow, terrible things to happen. You even enact them yourselves. So it might sound like, oh, you're saying something really negative about people, but it's just to understand the nature. Like, don't be too complacent, or don't be too complacent, or take people, like, there's this fallacy of, oh, people are so good. But if they were so good, why would we need all these laws and restrictions, right? It's easy to say, oh, you would never do that once you've already been indoctrinated, once you're already accountable to a certain standard, right? So like, oh, somebody in society, oh, I would never commit a crime. So they say, while they're collectively socially accountable as they're saying that, and also as they have laws in place, as they've been indoctrinated their whole life, right? And people still do it, right? People still do things that are considered wrong that way. So that shows you it's not absolute even then. But it's like, you would have I don't know, it's the same thing of like what people would act like morally superior to past people in the past. Like, oh, we're better than people, the savages of old. But it's actually just the fact that our technology is better, right? So if you take away electricity and running water, now how civilized or how morally righteous are you going to feel? And the answer is, I want to get on like a proper stretch of road. This is kind of fucked up. I don't normally go this way. Like, once you get on a long highway or something, then I can focus more on what I'm doing. But yeah, this topic is actually unbelievable, because like all the other ones I've only done like a 0.5 part. I've never done a like 0.1 like this so far. I'm almost doing it as a joke, but it actually will be necessary. But no, it's an important concept. Like, you should be skeptical of yourself, like your own limited, narrow senses. That human beings have limited perception, and you can be easily fooled by your senses. So you should be a little skeptical of that. You should be skeptical of individuals. There's always an incentive, dependent, overextended pretense, as I call it, that it relies on, despite how performative they might be in trying to achieve it. And then you also have the assumption that a collective is not necessarily credible, meaning like a large number of people have also been wrong on countless occasions, or things you would question. And then you also have that just history in general would show you, okay, human nature, or you can be aware of this, like, people have done everything wrong that you can possibly imagine throughout history, and people have made every mistake possible, and people have supported every bad leader possible, and people have also, fallen for every lie and trick and this and that. So you've been controlled by countless, pretenses and this and that. So you understand from that, okay, well, which pretense are you falling for right now? And whatever you consider to be default and you don't even think about, oh, you're controlled by that. You're still controlled by emotion. You're controlled by the stimuli acme. Greetings from Venezuela. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, something's happening with the algorithm or something on YouTube today where I'm getting some influx of kind of more people than I normally do. But yeah, this is... You're skeptical of human nature through history, right? It hurts their credibility, which again, it might seem negative, but the ultimate goal is positive, right? The best way to... Or I have some logical razor here, like the worst way to make something so is to pretend it's already true. So if you pretend like, oh, people are just perfect and we don't want to say anything negative about people or human nature, but then you'll take it for granted and then suffer from its flaws and be exploited by it. Instead, you realize, no, people are stupid, they're limited, their senses are easily manipulated, they're incomplete, right? They're myopic, they're ignorant, they're flawed, they have all these negative qualities, and so we can counteract those things, and that's kind of how even, laws and so forth work, but it's not quite acknowledged the same way. We have laws, but then we pretend like we're moral at the same time. Why would we need that, like, as inherently as people or nature? Why would we need laws if we were good? Right, like, there's some contradiction there, like, and this is the absolutist phrasing here that I use, is like, so society assumes that people are bad, that they have laws and indoctrination and so many, layers to try to control what you do, but then in social, everyday life, or just generally, you're supposed to believe that people are good, people are all amazing and good and this and that. Well, if they were so good, then you wouldn't need to be so restricted by not just laws and things like that, but even just... I should not have gone this way. I don't know what kind of route this is. I normally just go right on the highway. It's taking me some stupid way. Right, like, why would you need laws and inhibition, indoctrination? Like, everything you do is kind of restricted. You need a permit, you need this and that, right? The problem with that perception is the fact that if people really were good, then you shouldn't be inhibited by them, or like on their behalf, that we assume they're bad, and therefore, and collectively, like everybody. Otherwise, again, it's one or the other. People are inherently good, in which case, okay, you don't need all those restrictions, or people are inherently bad, and you should be weary of them then, right? Like, so you're in this inhibited state where so many things are restricted, but then it's like, oh, you should trust your neighbor. But if you did trust your neighbor, you wouldn't need locks, and you wouldn't need laws, and you wouldn't need, all these different security systems and stuff like that. So you obviously don't trust them, but then you're meant to pretend that you trust them somehow. Like, I feel like the view maybe isn't that clear. Sometimes my windshield is like, because I don't wash my car properly, it's like, oh, it's raining, that should wash it. It's snowing, that should wash it. But it's like, certain spots just don't go away ever. At least we're getting a different route from what I typically show, because I always do the same one. It's a little bit hard to concentrate on this. Right, normally I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, but here I do have to actually think about it a little more. So, yeah, you have that, you have sort of the specter of that all the time, right? So you say, let me think about how I phrased it, right? I phrased it two different ways. And so I said, okay, you should trust people, trust your neighbor, and, people are good, but you're meant to believe people are good, right, in society, everyday life. But at the same time, you see that, every area of your life is inhibited. Like, you have to have permit for this, you have rules for this, you have restrictions, you have laws. So that would imply that they're not good, so it's one or the other. So this would be the absolutist phrasing, is that either they're not good and so you should be weary and constantly on edge, or they are good and then don't inhibit me then. Don't restrict me in so many ways and subject me to... What the fuck is going on with this? Don't subject me to all that inhibition, because then... right, you would be, you wouldn't need it then, right? So don't tell me people are good and then inhibit every area of life and then act like, oh yeah, they're good, but then why do we need that? And then the other thing is like, oh, like, is society out to get you? Like, oh, they might not be out to get, this was a pretty funny conversation I had back in the day. Like, oh, are people out to get you? And then I said it in like long form, like somebody was asking this in my old debate format. It's like, you know, like, oh, maybe some of this sounds, you know, paranoid or something like that. And then you say, oh, people aren't out to get you, but they're only watching everything you do. And, you know, like, there's some, like, your neighbors will watch everything you do, and society's always judging you, or always, so there is this element that, like, okay, they might not be out to get you, but there is a sense that you're constantly, it's like the fallacy of permission. Like, you need their approval or validation or permission, or there's some sort of reinforcement going on there, whether it be like, okay, they have to look, you know, people have to look for outward insistence for reinforcement. And then this live stream is buns or bums, I can't even read that. From United Plates of America, how are you doing? I do appreciate that this actually getting views this time. I don't think most of these have gotten hardly any, because, you know, I'm just doing these just for the heck of it. This isn't even my main channel, but in fact, I specifically didn't want to use that because I don't want to like spam people with these. So I've just been spam uploading random clips that I have from the past, and I've been doing these streams like almost every day. And I've kind of almost quit streaming on Twitch. I would always stream on Twitch every day, but this is like so much more convenient for stuff like this, at least if I'm not playing a game. If I'm playing a game, I'll stream on Twitch, but if I'm just doing like this just chatting type thing, right, because this will auto upload to YouTube, so then I don't have to worry about downloading and editing or doing anything. It's just already there. But no, if I can finally get to a proper road, I really regret taking this route. Then I'll focus more on what I was trying to say, but whatever. Yeah, it's not the most exciting topics, but this is something, you know, a long time coming with some of my discussions, and so that's the infinite content loop, I guess, that I get out of this, is because I have so many things that I discussed in the past, but nobody knows, you know, like, nobody's familiar with it, so it's not like I'm rehashing it to them. You know, it'll seem fresh. It's just something I might take as, oh, that's obvious, or that's something I, you know, would be so second nature, but right, not to everybody else necessarily. This is what we pay our taxes for these fucked up unplowed roads, although I guess they've been plowed a little bit, but I've never had that happen with my brakes like that, though. Either they're going, or that particular stretch of road was just that bad. Okay, now we should be getting on a main thing, and then I'm just doing that for dramatic effect, to draw in views, like fucking getting a crash debate. I mean, I hate to say that, but that could, you know, I've seen other people do these kind of things where they're like driving or something, either while streaming or like even in a video, they'll, you know, like just talking about some random topic. And so, like, unfortunately, that probably has happened before. Okay. But yeah, I like doing these while driving because, again, it's not the sort of thing I felt ever motivated to do. Like, okay, I'm going to sit down and just discuss this, because, you know, if I'm doing that, I want to kind of do something, right? I don't want to just talk, but man, even these main roads are kind of shitty. What the fuck? What was I saying? I think I'm about to do the same right now. I'm going for a drive. Nice. Be safe, especially if you're in a... Can you do a donut? I try to play it safe. I mean, I theoretically could do it, yes. United Plates of America. Okay, hang on. Okay, let me try to get back to what I was saying. I'm getting too distracted. So, okay. You have the constant awareness of human history, human nature. People aren't credible. People aren't credible because of the past. People aren't credible because, again, they've made every mistake in history. So it's like you kind of hang on to it, right? You don't just observe a process like, oh, look at those Romans and the bread circuses and how they fell. No, you'd be, there is some little stupid meme on social media like that does kind of tie into this a little bit. I was the original with saying this, but I mean, whatever. Like, oh, I find myself often thinking about Rome or I don't know what it is. Like, oh, men think about Rome every week or something, right? So whether it's the fall of Rome or something else, I'm not sure, but just the idea, you should be acutely aware of that. Like, yeah, the United States might be like that in terms of, oh, we were at such a height of power and now we're going to fall because of our currency and this and that. And so, or whatever, we'll falter. I won't say just fall outright, but you're heading towards Watertown. Wow, how do you know that? Or, oh, you probably saw a sign. But I would love it if he knows the area so well that he can instinctively just say that. I kind of am, but I'm actually not going that way. I'm going more towards, like, Utica area. Just kidding, don't do a donut. Yeah, that'll be the I show speed level of views I'll deserve that if I do shit like that. Start doing stunt driving. But yeah, like, treat people as not very credible. Again, collectively, oh, how could 1 million people be wrong? How could so many people be wrong? But they have been throughout history at every time, right? Every atrocity has been allowed. Every lie has been believed. Every corrupt leader has been given power. So there's a certain skeptical nature to it that you get to understand, right? So you might think, oh, it's just negativity, but there's a lesson to it, right? The lesson is that you value, nope, because that sign said East Syracuse, and I know that directions because you're from Fort Drum. Oh, cool. Are you in the military or something? There's a funny story about that. So, somebody I know really likes Panda Express, and so there are no Panda Expresses anywhere here anymore. There used to be one right around here, and they shut it down. So they go to that area once, and they see that, oh, there's a Panda Express there in Fort Drum, not anywhere else, not in Syracuse. I don't think, not in Watertown, not anywhere. It's like you're getting Krispy Kreme or something because there aren't any in this area. So you go to a military base and you got to get ID'd and checked in, and they're kind of questioning, why are you going in there? Ex-military, cool. And like, you're going into a military base to have fucking Panda Express because you can't find it anywhere else. That's how much of a delicacy it is. Those are top 5 most wanted franchises around here, or like in certain areas, like Krispy Kreme, Panda Express, maybe, I guess those are the main 2. I don't really, like, what, Baskin Robbins or something, I guess isn't around here. So, yeah, so much effort and thought is put into like your functional basis, as in like, okay, your job. So if people put as much thought into their job, if people put as much thought into their overall life or existential purpose, let's say, as they do into like their job and work and functionalism, that would be very different, because again, people will just take those things for granted and treat them as an absolute. But it's a situation where people will treat those things as an absolute, but then they won't question it. So they'll be so, interested in even like folly, favoritism, like entertainment, escapism, right? So what they'll do is they'll like, oh, we'll analyze Star Wars characters and this and that and come up with theories. And like, you'll put so much thought into that. You'll put so much thought into your work and your job. Like, okay, let's do this action best, this function best. But you won't put that same amount of thought into your actual life or your philosophical. What is your measure? Like your individual. What do you define as what you value, or what are you trying to do, or what kind of dictates your what is this? Why does it feel so shitty today? Like obviously it was snowing today, but it shouldn't be this kind of slushy and bad. Okay, what I was saying is the fact, see, this must be because of the visual thing. If I was just doing it with a notepad, I was doing these like where I just show a notepad on my screen and I don't show and then I just started doing these like a week or two ago. We're like, okay, I may as well show this if I'm driving anyway. I may as well show my thing, like whatever, camera. But I hate doing face cam, so I wouldn't do that. But, or yeah, now people will be hating on me for my driving, like, oh, you shouldn't be in this lane, but like I don't want to fuck around and move around too much either. Okay. So yeah, if you put the same amount of thought into your life purpose, your measure, as I call it, into like society itself, the structure, the government, the whatever, if you put as much thought into that as you did into escapism and entertainment, or as you did into your job, right, that would be a different story, right? But surprisingly, people don't do that, and it's one of those false absolutes, almost like God, in the sense of like part of the dogma is that you can't question it or you can't think about it. And the reason why is because like, oh, God is absolute, but then you can't question it, or oh, it's heresy or something like that. So it'll be like this non-accountable false absolute. No, if it is absolute, you should be able to question it as much as you want, and it shouldn't matter. Versus, we've gotten a lot of people just saying that, actually, like, from this place, right? Like, hello from Venezuela, hello from Indonesia, so that's kind of cool. We're getting all the international United plates, which I don't know if he said that on purpose. If he knows how much I like fast food, that's something like Nightmare, one of my Twitch viewers would say, like, making fun of my fast food addiction, which I just had before starting this. In fact, I went and got some Wendy's, and then or you know what I just discovered recently is, I never even paid attention to it, but Little Caesars, which I never really liked too much, but they have like these ready pizzas just to go, which is unlike, Domino's or Pizza Hut. I knew they had like the crazy bread and stuff like that sometimes, but I didn't know they had just like full pizzas. I never had gotten them like that, just ready to go. So like that makes it constitute like, oh, that's actually fast food, whereas Domino's is always called fast food, but it's not, right? You have to wait, or like Pizza Hut are obviously not. So those are technically considered restaurants or like fine dining if you would have to, because anytime you have to wait that long, right, it's not exactly fast food at all. I just did that fast food tier list like around Halloween. I forget why, because I was doing like a horror movie tier list, and then I did that. Like just because, whatever, another tier list. But yeah, something's either glitching out or just definitely different with the algorithm today, which is possibly a good thing. And it keeps happening like abruptly. It'll go from like 1 viewer to like 20 or something, like suddenly. It shouldn't be. It must just be like you're scrolling through. It's like people are scrolling through YouTube and they're kind of catching me. And then, of course, they'll scroll right off, because obviously this is a very specific kind of content that is not exactly universally applicable here. Those lights almost look a little ominous in the distance there. I picked maybe a bad day to, well, whatever. I've been doing this like every day, but whatever. I'm just kind of doing this more casually now. I'll do it more seriously tomorrow, just because I can't concentrate on it too well, especially for a topic that is this advanced. Yeah, we've done up till episode 9 so far. Let me see if I can. I won't be able to. Like, if I can remember all the episodes I've chosen to do so far. Obviously, the stimuli acme was one of them. Some of them kind of fit together. Like the machination process would fit with this. Okay, now it's getting pretty bad. What the fuck kind of a day is this, man? Why does it have to start getting so bad right when I'm driving, too? Yeah, this is a good principle here, too. Like, the only thing to fear is other people, right? In and of yourself, oh, you'd be fine. It's not the weather that's the problem. It's the other people who are clowns or whatever that you have to account for. So... So, I mean, I was expecting this to be cleaner, but even these major roads are not. And of course, speaking of Watertown, they get it much worse than we do here. This is more like the Syracuse, more central. But when you go up north like that, like Oswego or Watertown, it's all fucked up. Yeah, what are the chances we'd have somebody in here who actually knows that? Not that these are like obscure areas, but still. Syracuse had a basketball team before, I guess, New York City did, or at the same time. Like, they were one of the original, right? Syracuse, what was it called? I can't remember. They were like one of the original teams, I feel like. Rochester Royals, and so that became the Kings. Right, all these cities that, like, they're not bad, but I mean, you don't think of them as... You have Rochester, you have Syracuse, but you don't have Seattle or something like that, right, where the Sonics deserve to be preserved that way. So, yeah, like, again, put the same amount of thought into your measure in life, like philosophy, or what your kind of measure that way is, or even as you do into your job, or as you do into escapism and things like that. And so it allows you to, right, measure that out. And so... But see, I'm always a safe driver in the sense that I'm comfortable going slow. And the reason why is because, I just... Even under normal circumstances, but especially here. So yeah, put more thought into your... Like, because really, like, think about that from a philosophical standpoint. In your free time, outside of your zero-sum functionalism, your work, your job, shouldn't you spend your time, like, contemplating life or something actually significant, or, you might do some additional functional kind of thing to try to escape from the monotony of your typical job and life. But what happens is... we are Okay, I'll just skip this fucking episode and just talk about something else, because holy shit, dude. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It didn't look that bad when I was sort of heading out. I'm getting trolled a little bit by nature in the sense of just the timing of it. All day it was kind of moderate, and then we get this but that's like one habit that sometimes people do. They'll keep their blinkers on even if they don't really feel the need to, just like, you know, just because, like, it gives you a good excuse or something. Or like the student driver thing, just put a student driver thing on, and then it's like, why the fuck aren't the plows doing shit? Or it must be that bad that they couldn't keep up with it? This is crazy. Right, these roads in particular, you never see quite like this. It's one thing, like the local roads, like when we first started, right at the beginning, I can understand that. That's like a local town, but yeah, see, if everybody's disciplined and goes slow like this, then you're fine, but people won't do that, unfortunately. You know, it's always good to be behind those big trucks and stuff because they'll kind of carve a path for you. But we'll turn into a meteorologist or some shit with this. Like we're doing something actually relevant, like some event that we're showing, not that of what I was actually trying to talk about. Like somebody will sit on your tail now or something and be stupid, like. Then it's no big deal, but it's that temptation to not do that. Nice, excellent whiteout. Holy fucking shit, dude. At least you get a good visual spectacle here, I guess, but this is fucked up. You know, I'm perfectly content doing this. Okay, I'll just go slowly and it's fine. But, you know, this is a little extreme. When they say into the thick of it, they mean that situation right where I pray for safe travel. Thanks. It does become very hard to see now. It becomes kind of like like a blur. Why are there even so many people on the road then at a time like this? Because what a day for the algorithm to want to pick me out too, because obviously I'm not really in the mood now to do much of anything. It's a very good thing to have somebody in front of you and you can just go slow and you can just enjoy taking the sights. All these big trucks you want to kind of show off, I guess. Then you'll follow somebody into a ditch or something like that. He could be going the wrong way himself. He's kind of confusing me now. That gets somebody is when they keep trying to do that. Like, I get it. That's maybe I'm going too slow, but these big trucks should have no problem, basically, but now if he does go right, he'll be sandwiched between the two of us slow clowns. Way to ruin and cuck my Absolutist philosophy series, dude. Not that it really takes that much concentration just to talk, but, you know, for this particular episode, I wanted a little more focus that way. Yeah, see, this is the really slow poke lane, which is okay, so everybody can breeze by us, that's fine. Yeah, let's go to New York City, only 276 miles. But like, that's always like a trick question. What's the capital of New York? So a lot of people might have said, oh, New York City, just because it's the most populated, well-known city, but then, oh no, it's actually Albany. Like, nobody knows about Albany or gives a shit about Albany. Right, but that's how sometimes the capitals are like that. Oh, Florida, it's Tallahassee or some shit instead of whatever, like instead of Miami or some better known area. Yeah, this is a good minimalist principle right here, is like be content with just, okay, I'm not in a hurry, I'm fine going slow, like it's no big deal. Maybe I shouldn't even have bothered doing this though. at least the visibility conditions have improved now. But yeah, do they do that now on the Weather Channel? There'll be something like this where they go around and do like these exhaustive analyses of a certain area. I mean, obviously, if it's some major thing like a hurricane, they'll be there, but. Put as much thought into your work as you do into your philosophy, things like that. Like, in your free time, would you rather be thinking about that? Or, yeah, so I was saying, like, the dogmatic element of not being able to question something. So, for example, the dogmatic element of, like, part of a belief system requires you not to question it. But if it really is absolute, such that you should worship it and take it for granted, right, like, that's kind of the fallacy. Like, oh, of course we don't question God because it goes without saying. But actually, right, that's the problem. It's like the only reason why you believe it is because you don't question it, not the opposite. So, like, even anything else, like some life purpose or philosophy, you would say, oh, it goes without saying. We don't even need to think about that. But it's not that you don't need to think about it. It's that any amount of actually thinking about it would cause you to have cognitive dissonance, or maybe at least realize it's not absolute. And so, right, it's sort of the opposite with that. The dogmatic element is like, you don't question something not because, oh, it's so absolute and it goes without saying. It's that any amount of thinking about it would potentially invalidate it, right? So you can't think about it. So you treat it like, oh, that's just second nature because it goes without saying, like certain social norms and different things, indoctrination in society. And so that allows you to realize that right, those elements are present because whatever, you have this certain layer degree of indoctrination into society, and so it allows you to, you know, reinforce that. And so definitely not what I was expecting here, but it's okay. Right, this guy in front of me maybe has the right idea, or at least we're both doing the same thing. Braking that's really gonna fuck everybody up, because what a great stream. Fucking so stupid. This would be a nice, relaxing ASMR driving stream in whiteout condition, fucking stage 5 blizzard levels. Whatever, however they even categorize that, I don't know. But whatever, if you can even see what the fuck is going on. Lanes are shrunk too, so like when they overtake you, they're like way closer than they normally would be. We were talking about the non-accountable false absolute, right? That baked into a belief system would be the need or the desire not to question it, and the fact that that's necessary. So then it's like the emperor has no clothes fallacy, that like, you know, it's your fault for questioning it, not its fault for having some flaw or some imperfection that can be questioned. And you might say, well, but you can question everything, but that's the difference of something that's an absolute, right? Whether it be a god or something like that. So the fact that you question it doesn't mean that, oh, it can't still be useful or have value, but it just means that, oh, it's not absolute. And so therefore, you know, it's not the only thing, or it's not the end all be all of everything, because that's a very strong empirical basis. But that's an argument you sometimes hear, is just like, you know, oh, you don't know anything with certainty. You don't know if, oh, whatever, like the food you eat could make you sick or whatever, right? You trust and believe in certain things. But the difference there is what you're believing in is like on a functional level or some, you know, human like error and stuff like that, which is kind of goes against the very concept that we're discussing here. But what it means is that it basically means that you're in a position to again, like, oh, you don't know anything for sure and you believe in certain things, but the difference there is you don't have to worship them. That's the difference. Like, oh, you believe that the food you're going to eat isn't going to make you sick or kill you or something like that, right? But you don't have to worship the food. You can just eat it and trust in social Darwinism, or in, you know, the namesake, the good name of a big company that makes the food, like that there's potential lawsuit protection and things like that, right? To some degree, you're believing and trusting in people that way, but that's different than you know, believing in a god or something like, oh, that you're worshiping and treating as absolute and letting dictate every aspect of your life, aside from, in this case, oh, you're just giving a certain leeway or benefit of doubt to something that, okay, I trust that people aren't going to try to poison me on purpose or whatever, make food like that. But yeah, so the big defining factor there would be like worship or an absolute or something that's telling you what to do in everyday life, you know, every area of life, and dictating kind of things like that. But that would be the key difference. And so that's a common concept that I talk about, is like the non-accountable false absolute. So it's easy for something to seem absolute if you just don't question it, right? So that's one of the key tenets of even modern society, is like, oh, if you have any cognitive dissonance, just don't think about it, or just don't either just don't think about it or distract yourself with entertainment escapism or, you know, something of the sort that way, where you're going to overcompensate for it, you're going to distract from it, right? Very similar in a way to bread and circuses type arguments. And so that's often the basis there. So it's not like, oh, the reason why your society is what it is and, you know, in the state it's in isn't because, oh, it's objectively a sound process or it's absolute or something like that. It just means like, okay, it's comfortable enough, it's convenient enough that people tolerate it and overcompensate for, distract the cognitive dissonance, right? It's more important to have convenience and comfort and all of that than to do it this way, like, you know, than to actually answer an existential question or to qualify something in a consistent way. You know what I'll give props to in this experience though is Starlink. We're using Starlink to stream on, not the phone mobile data itself. And so Elon Musk comes through. He doesn't give a shit about a blizzard or whiteout or anything. Through all this, it seems to have been working pretty solidly all the way. So that's a thumbs up to Elon Musk on that. Like, it's generally worked pretty well. In general, you know, the only times it doesn't work, oh, you go under a bridge or like a fast food drive-through, even, like where anything overhead, right, it just has to have connection to the sky, but stuff like weather and clouds and stuff like that doesn't seem to bother it too much. This is so fucked up, man. It's just gonna take forever and I don't want to go faster. Or like my battery's gonna die on, speaking of Elon Musk, on my fucking Anchor thing that you need for this. And there were so many components to the setup that I needed to do. Right, the iPhone itself, which I guess I didn't need this level of an iPhone, but I guess the camera's maybe coming into use here a bit. Yeah, we had our most active chat so far, for sure. Maybe even our first message. I don't know if anybody had even come in the one so far. I always had it open, but I never noticed it. So this, again, would have been active there. We got a good number of viewers a number of times. But see, it's kind of hard to measure that because, right, like, you know, the kind of viewers you're gonna get. Okay, people might not like what I'm doing, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing it. I'm not gonna cater to people or I'm doing something different. It's like I'm just doing it because I feel like it, right? Something I've discussed in the past. I had my debate format. Like, so it's a very specific kind of content. So it's not the same as like gaming content, because even though, okay, your style might be vastly different. Oh, I'm a completionist. I'm gonna be slow. I'm gonna take my time. You know, I might do RP. I might do other things. It's still within the context of like, okay, you're watching somebody play a game and then they add their own little flavor and flair to it. Whereas here, it could just be you're doing something totally different, right, that you almost can't even explain what you're doing. People do all kind of weird, random things, IRL type stuff. So, right, maybe I'm practicing the stigma effect right now by, you know, being aware of human flaws, so therefore I'm being super careful and both my own potential flaw, but also the flaws of others, right? To be aware of it is not to be above it, one of my key core logical razors. And so, oh my God. Yeah, I'm not too happy about this particular episode, but we'll let it be. I'll still count that as 9.1 because at least I tried, so I'll do 9.2, and I'll really keep this going for a while because I want to get through some of these topics that, like, you know, it's hard to explain, but there's a lot of different things related to this topic that need to be discussed. Yeah, we had an ex-military veteran here who maybe was in well, they didn't say they necessarily worked in, well, they said they lived in the Fort Drum area, so I assume maybe they were there, stationed there for a bit. Yeah, I love that. You go to that's like a comedy skit thing. Bro, goes to a fucking military base to try to get Panda Express because that's the only place you can get it, or it's the only place you can find it. That's military privilege right there, Jerry. Like they're coming. George Costanza's. This is the plot for the episode. He's trying to sneak into the military base to try Panda Express that he had when he was a kid, and you could make a whole thing. He hasn't had it since because they haven't had them around there, so yeah, the only concession with doing these is I do them in 720p instead of 1080 because it seems to work better that way. I think I tried it in 1080p one time on YouTube here, and either it crashed or it just wouldn't start, or there was all kind of issues with it. One thing I've been having an urge to play lately is Hearthstone. I almost wanted to try that on my phone, just right, but then I'm worried, especially I'm sitting in my car somewhere and I could do it, but then I'm worried it'll crash because I feel like I would want to do that on 1080, and maybe I should do that on my computer, but it's the kind of thing I shouldn't mind doing on my phone, right? I did do a session of it before. I think somewhat the music and things like that fuck up. The sound isn't what it should be. Either the music doesn't play at all, or it kind of cuts off, or that happens with a number of things, whether it's just that's how it is, or because you're actually streaming it fucks it up, because that was happening too. PvZ Heroes wouldn't have any music or something right when I was trying to do that. Number of these big ass fucking trucks, man. Come on. Which is a good thing in a way, because they'll clear the path in front of you, especially if they come to this lane here. Yeah, this one's kind of just a wash. We're just kind of chilling. I wasn't too happy about this. We gotta still make the best of it. I definitely was not expecting that. We've driven a couple of the last few days where it's been snowing and it's been seemingly bad, but it was nowhere near the way this one was. Either the plows are just overwhelmed. My estimated arrival time before I'm going is 9:31. I guess that's not too bad, 40 minutes from here, but again, are we going to get to a stretch where I feel actually comfortable, or is it going to be like this? I mean, it looks a little better now, right? You can at least see a lot clearer, but yeah, we haven't really seen a plow, or maybe I'm just missing them. They've obviously been over this part, but it's still they got to keep doing it over and over. Yeah, what was my most recent clip that I did? Oh, the Karl Anthony Towns one. He really changed the game, and Minnesota fucked up by letting him go to the Knicks because you know, you might not think he's that good, but he is very good. Like, they would have had a much better chance of competing if they had kept him, so. That's why I don't know what people even really do in these. There's so many of these streams on YouTube. They talk about like random stuff, or they talk about specific stuff. They show face cam, so cult of personality right there. But, you know, stimuli, acme plus cult of personality. But yeah, like now everybody could just multi-stream. Like, it's very open that way, where you don't have to be seen as like, oh, you're a Twitch streamer, you're a YouTube streamer. But the resolution on this is different because, I mean, you could do it from your computer too, but like this is meant for, you know, more mobile orientation is how you're streaming. Like, so even if you were to play a game, it would appear like that. Yeah, like, nobody seems to really give a shit either. You'd think like, oh, the road should be empty then. Nobody wants to be out, but they don't care. Yeah, that was an interesting turn of the algorithm. Hopefully it stays like that in future streams, because that was really good. Whatever was happening, I don't know. But it may have been like, okay, you're just appearing and then scrolling through her front page or something. It was happening sort of sporadically, where I don't know if it almost feels like you're being hosted or something, but it could just be incidental. The algorithm works in mysterious ways, so. Right, that immediately is a better sign than Twitch, because we never get that kind of influx on Twitch. Right, that's much more steady and constant, like, okay, whatever you're at is what you're at. Whereas here we're getting these random numbers at times. Oh my god. Absolutely ridiculous, man. Like, who would fucking live in a shitty place like this, dude? You must be a dumb clown like me. Yeah, I like when people have that reaction too. They'll come and they'll hate watch, or, you know, come to say something negative. Like I was saying, oh, this stream is buns, or whatever, just in general. Right, there's a certain bait quality to that. Like, maybe I hate watch Alex Botez, even though I've almost never really watched one of their streams. I've seen a ton of their videos over time, obviously, but probably see that a lot of emergency vehicles and shit going in the other way. Lake effect, snow, reduced speed. Yeah, no shit, dude. Oh no, I didn't notice. I didn't realize. Yeah, definitely cleared out. Visibility is good. Even the roads aren't as bad on this part. But I'm still gonna go slow as fuck. That's one thing I tried today for the first time ever, actually, on the way to where I was going, like where I'm coming back from. So this might have even been the one. Like, I had gotten Chick-fil-A in a rest stop, this kind of a thing, right? In a service area like this. And so right, I've never had it like in that capacity before. Right, like, I mean, it's the same thing, but it feels like it's almost too expensive for that. You almost think of those places as like, okay, they should be for really cheap food, like McDonald's or something. Right, Chick-fil-A is actually pretty high-end, expensive stuff because, you know, you get one meal and it's like $20. You could say maybe everything's inflated up to that point, but you know, we can guess. Does that mean the plows have been here more, or does that mean this part just didn't get as much snow? Yeah, my battery would fucking die on my Starlink before anything else. This will be a disaster if we have to pull over now, because there'll be this cop up here now on our side. Yeah, Chick-fil-A is overrated because they're too expensive. Like you have to take that into consideration, right? I'll do a hot take. Yeah, I wonder if that ever happens. Like, has somebody gets a seizure from fucking the cop lights or something like that? But no, it's like Chick-fil-A versus KFC. Chick-fil-A is better quality. Right, so it wins on that category, but it's not better in terms of the price. So again, for $20 roughly, I can get one good meal at Chick-fil-A, right, like a 4-piece tenders, and then the side, and then a drink, and then, whatever. For KFC, for $20, I can get like multiple meals, like 2-3 meals, or meal for the whole family. You get like a big bucket, 6 big pieces of chicken, and 4 biscuits, and 4 individual sides. It's like, right, so from a cost efficiency standpoint, obviously you wouldn't expect it to be as good or better, right, KFC, because it's more cost efficient. And if it's cooked right, and that's the qualifier, it's like, it seems to vary too much from place to place and time to time, where sometimes if it's cooked right, it's great. And if it's not, then it's trash, right? Right, there's a lot more up and down, whereas something like Chick-fil-A, they have like a pretty good culture, I guess, where it typically feels like the same every time, or like no matter where you go. Although I guess I've really only been to maybe the same one over and over. Right, even the algorithm got sick of me, I guess. There was definitely something going on with that. I'd be interested to see the stats on this one, though, in like analytics or whatever. absolutely ridiculous, kind of ruined my whole thing. Oh, I still have 60% of my battery, so I can keep going. I can keep doing this for a while if I wanted, but estimated arrival time like 9:36. Oh my god. Yeah, that is like YouTube flexing its algorithm a little bit. Like, oh, you were put on the front page somewhere, or you were, as people are scrolling through, you must have been one of the ones that was actually showing up. But now it hasn't happened for some time, but that was very interesting. That, we've seen that fluctuation. And at least this part seems a little cleared up, and I'm not in the mood to go too fast or anything. Okay, let me think about the next concept. I'm mostly just maybe reviewing the first episode that we did here, episode 9. So, right, the non-accountable false absolute. The fact that folly is favored, escapism, entertainment. Right, I always have the as a question I ask, like, why is folly favored, and it's your choice. You can blame, the government's using it to control you and stuff, but it's your choice whether you engage in it or not, or whether you value it or really care about it or enjoy it. The fact that you have to distract yourself with folly, favoritism, entertainment, escapism would be negative, and or like, here's just a basic concept, like, if you observe the nature of a process, or you kind of study it or something, it'll be projected like it somehow applies to you. What other considerations could I look at? The fact that this part seems much clearer, but then you'll hit some black ice or some shit. It suddenly clears up like that. Or again, it just means that the plows have actually been there. Yeah, I wonder what the statistic on that is. Like, how much salt did they actually go through in doing all these roads and highways and stuff? Right? How much salt is actually used and consumed? Or again, you know, one absolutist adage is almost like you would sort of just deal with certain things. So like then you let them get to a breaking point, or here's a logical razor line that I say, like, if you could just do a little bit, like, you know, make one little concession here and there. This is kind of like what recycling or something would be intending to do in a way, but it's kind of still artificial and gratifying. But like, yeah, like do like one little thing now, sacrifice one little thing now, and that'll add up to, like, you know, extending a process and saving you trouble later, instead of the way that human nature often works, which is we're going to ignore it until we reach a breaking point, until we have to react to it, and then it's too late, right? Like you don't do anything about something until you have to do it, and then by that point, right, it's already boiled over. Instead of, okay, let's take some precaution or proactive measure, and if we do that, then, right, you might make some little minor sacrifice that barely even affects you, but that can be enough to prevent it from ever becoming an issue or for extending it for a super long time, instead of just not doing anything until something actually happens. Right, until it reaches a breaking point, then you kind of are shocked by it. So again, make a small sacrifice now, or be forced to make a big sacrifice later, so then it won't be up to you, because it'll already be, again, boiling over the edge. And so, or like, if people like the live stream, do those likes stay when it gets uploaded to the video, or would that be separate? Estimated time now is like 9:38 or something like that. It's gonna be these local roads coming up that end up fucking you over there too. Or I guess what you'd be doing in doing this in a way is like, oh, you could be, if you do like some traffic violation, you break a red light or something, right, you're opening yourself up to that, like, oh, you're showing that. But I could say, oh, this is just stock footage, it doesn't have to be me doing it right now. Right? How could you really prove that this is even really happening right now? I could just be showing a video or something. But yeah, you could be snitching on yourself that you broke a stop sign or you broke a red light or something. what other points could we discuss here? This is kind of more of a disorganized episode, but just... yeah, like how often does that happen? Like where, oh, you can be pulled over for going too slow. Sometimes it can be if you're somehow causing a hindrance like that, but... So I can't tell if sometimes these YouTube streams actually do crash or not. When I tried to go on 1080, it did seem to do that and it restarted. But a lot of the time, it seems like it could just be that, like, a certain part of it'll glitch out if it's lagging, but it won't like make a new video just for that. Yeah, so you go under a bridge like that, now that'll fuck up the Starlink, but not really if it's that brief, but just like, if you go in a tunnel, the way that, what was that one thing Elon was saying he was going to try to do? Like a car in a tunnel or a bus in a tunnel or something, like public transportation where everything's in a tunnel, but it ended up not working out kind of at all. I guess I could do this too, like, oh, or like I just don't say anything, but then what's the point? Right, but some people do that, or again, there's that stupid meta with like steal a brain rot, and it shows a parade of stuff coming out of a door, and it's, let's see if the local roads are going to be bad again once we turn off now. Like, it was such a night and day difference between how when we started it was so bad. Now this looks so clear. So obviously the plows have prioritized this part or something. Yeah, that was kind of a shitty episode where it kind of killed my mood. So we'll try to do it tomorrow. Should be better. We'll do actual proper episode 9.2 now, where I get to do the, more of these concepts. I was mostly just trying to review too what I did in the first one, because it was so long-winded and so difficult. Yeah, I almost never do these in like a proper sit-down kind of session, right? It seems to fit better when I'm driving or doing something else, because it just kind of, if all I'm doing is talking, then that's different, right? If I'm sitting down, I'm at my computer, I may as well play something or do something more substantial. Yeah, what was the last topic I was saying? The fact that right, the non-accountable false absolute that kind of bypasses critical thinking, and it's kind of like, again, a way to gratify and appeal the ego, right? That, oh, you're not being controlled to do this, you're, it's love or it's meant to be or something. So I call that whole logical razor the false absolute to value, or false absolute to specify. So, like, everything has to be like that, where, a person can't just do something that's arbitrary. The perspective would always be like, that I don't know, I keep losing my train of thought, but yeah, you should be able to hold everything accountable as much as possible. If you can't, then that's sort of like a self-tell that there's something missing or flawed about it. And the reason why is because, it would be so flawed that there's a big casino over here that I always hate those and make fun of them, that you'd be stupid to do it, like playing the lottery. Like, it's just one of those dumb things that nobody should do. And if everybody just pulls that money together, we could do something with it. But it sort of shows you a subversive state that people are in, that they don't think about it or don't care about it. I don't know actually why it's taking me this route either, because this whole route from the beginning has been unfamiliar. I don't know why. Like, the middle part, we've somewhat done that, but yeah, all you get to appreciate is probably my messy, shitty windshield in the process of doing all this, right? That I probably should get my car properly washed. It's going to be 9:47 estimated arrival time. Yeah, bless the YouTube algorithm, I guess, because it's given me some random things today where I had like, in a second it would do that. It would go from, okay, 1 viewer to 20, and then obviously it would slowly go down because people are going to get bored of our random, thing that we're doing. But we finally see a plow there. Yeah, I feel like I hardly saw any plows throughout the whole trip, especially at the beginning where all of those roads were kind of fucked up. How do you even do the job performance of something like that? Right, like how are you gonna, what? Like I'm a plow driver for the state, and like somebody's gonna call in and complain, oh, this road isn't plowed enough. Like, who's really keeping track of that, or how do you even keep track of that amid the chaos of what's going on? Right, like it's such a random thing to do. Or like certain jobs are like that, where it's sort of vague and hard to monitor really what you're doing. Yeah, this kind of road isn't too bad. Or yeah, these individual standalone plow guys should help out too, and they should start to try to plow some of these roads when they're doing it. Yeah, this channel is growing slowly but surely. Actually, when I started streaming, and before I started posting all these clips, I've been sort of doing them together. Right, I had like 52 subscribers, and so there was almost a fear that, oh, what if it goes below 50, because you need at least 50 for it to let you stream. So like, even once you've already started, would it take it away if you fall below that? But yeah, it's like, now I'm just being overly cautious because this part isn't even that bad. But I just don't feel like even doing anything right now. Yeah, I'll try to finish that topic, or finish some of the recap and explore this topic a little more now in the future as we go. Right, that or Hearthstone. Somehow I've been having an urge to do that, but I should maybe test it like in my car. Like, I somehow don't want to do that to YouTube. I don't want to do like stuff when I actually play a game or something. So if I do that, I go on Twitch, and if I do this kind of thing, I can do it on YouTube. Again, because there's less of a visual aspect to it. Like, you don't have to worry about that too much. But yeah, that was one trend with these YouTube things. if you scroll through and you'll see like all these channels with the brain rot, steal the brain rot, and it's like, was kind of a buzzkill thing. I just wanted to show more of the drive, I guess, just in and of itself. But I didn't really feel like even doing commentary, and I was getting tired. But yeah, tomorrow I'll definitely do that, where I could do another one of these episodes in great depth and try to really cover this topic a bit more, because again, there's a lot of different points to this topic to go through. And so that was just an unexpected, unpleasant interruption. And like I said, the other thing I somehow had an urge to do was Hearthstone, just randomly, just some of my gimmick deck stuff, or maybe just see. I haven't played in a while. If something's different, like whenever the new cards come out, that's what I always wonder. Is like, I'm not looking for like, oh, what's the best card in the meta, or let me play for Legend or something. It's like, oh, let me see what cards, like, oh, Whiz Bang, the new Whiz Bang, or something like that, that's transformative, changes your deck, does something very fun or interesting, which Hearthstone really, that's the one thing I'll always remember it by. Like, it is a great game, it is one of my favorite card games, everything like that, but what really is special about it that even other well-known card games and stuff don't do is it has a lot of those transformative type of cards that are like, Renounced Darkness or something like that, where it changes like your whole deck, in the sense that right, it changes your whole deck and everything like that. Because like Explorer and Goros and Azari, it doesn't mean that they're even good cards or like, anything like that. It's just like the concept behind them is so transformative that it'll just change your whole deck, or it'll do something very, very different. And so right, it's a fun concept. I feel like even Magic the Gathering doesn't have a ton of cards like that, but no, like Renounced Darkness, Explorer and Goro, Zin Azari, all these kind of things. Right, Whiz Bang, the old Whiz Bang, the new Whiz Bang, just things that completely change everything.